KWP. All right, it looks like we're live. It is a little later than I normally start. It's actually 12:37. I usually start at 12:30. I got a little jammed up on a phone call that I couldn't get off of, so I apologize for that. I do try to get here at 12:30 every Tuesday. But nonetheless, still here. Still here for episode 55. 55 weeks that we've been coming to you live for Time Out Tuesday. So I wanted to thank everybody for watching either now or in the reruns or whatever you call them, I guess, the recorded version of this. I always appreciate, people sending some likes and hearts and stuff like that across the screen. I just noticed my giraffe is just floating around in the air over here. There's my giraffe. But in any case, so I did want to get started today. My topic was, I said something like, your teacher is tough, you're lucky. And it was something that I was thinking about today. I'll tell you just a quick story first, and then what made me think of it. But I was thinking back to teachers that have had influence on me over the years, and it was interesting that I've had a lot of great teachers. I'm not only talking about the martial arts, but I've certainly had teachers in the martial arts. Going back all the way to my very first teacher in college was. Just super, really kind of got my juices flowing for really loving the martial arts and developing, an affinity for the whole study of it, which obviously has turned into a lifelong endeavor. But along the way, I've had some other really influential teachers, and I was thinking back to who those people were and what the characteristics of them were, and two of them actually stood out in my mind. So probably my favorite teacher of all time was my social studies teacher in, I think it was middle school. It might have been technically high school, 9th grade. Might have had her again another year as well. And now that I think about it, her name was June instead, and she was the head of the social studies department. She had a reputation in the school for being tough and scary and really mean. And I remember when I saw on my assignment that I had her, I just went into like a total panic thinking, this is going to be a terrible year. I'm going to have this, this crazy teacher. She's going to just be like screaming, yelling, and carrying on all the time. And who needs that? Well, turned out it was completely the opposite. She was tough as nails. But what she did was she taught us ways of taking notes and taking notes that were legible and very neat and organized, and rewriting our notes and different methods of studying our notes and color coding our notes. And she was just obsessed with the quality of note-taking to the point where, if my memory is accurate, a very large portion of our grade had to do with handing in your notebook and having it graded. So she would actually review the notes and grade them, and that caused us to have to write and rewrite our notes again and really kind of make them look extraordinarily perfect. And this turned into a skill set of mine that has carried me for literally decades. The ability to organize thoughts and reorganize them and understand, different ways of rewriting notes. And it was just a really great skill set. And in terms of her being mean and scary and tough, she actually just demanded a lot of us. She demanded that we actually come to class prepared, that we come to class prepared to participate in class. And that also just kind of lived on with me forever, because to me that wasn't scary. That was actually what was expected of me, so it was kind of easy for me to do that. And so that's something that I took with me. And then the other teacher that I just remember, it's a little strange, as being very influential, and kind of a similar story. When I got assigned in driver's education to Mr. Riley, he was known as being like the worst. That's the guy that you do not want. He's going to be yelling at you the whole time you're driving. He's going to scare you. He's going to make your life miserable. It's going to be a horrible experience. And he was tough. I mean, this guy didn't let you get away with anything in the car. If you did anything at all out of order, in an even most minor way, he would have you pull over and he'd go ballistic, and he'd explain to you, how that's like the same as running over 20 kids in the street. And yeah, he was crazy like that. However, what he did was he caused you to focus like a crazy person when you're driving and follow the instructions and the order of operations, signal, mirror, blind spot. These are things that I'll never forget from Mr. Riley. Signal, mirror, blind spot. Signal, mirror, blind spot. And again, the toughness is what caused me to like him, actually, because I think that he turned me into a safe and observant driver. The thing that made me think a little bit about this today, or actually the last couple of days, really, was I was giving a private lesson to one of our students. This particular student happens to do a private lesson with us on a weekly basis, and the reason that he's doing a private lesson is because he wants to just continue to excel and get ahead even farther than attending several classes a week can do. So he's really looking to rock star himself up. But we're talking about a really young kid here. We're talking about a 6-year-old boy, and he is. He's a very good student, works really hard, and definitely has skill for doing martial arts. However, in this particular private lesson, he was heavily distracted. He's 6 years old, it happens. But he was particularly distracted and was having a really hard time moving through something that I really knew he knew already, and I was really hoping to just kind of move through it as a review. But because he was so distracted, I really wound up having him do and redo, because midway through everything, it seemed like, every time a shiny squirrel ran by, he was just distracted and couldn't really complete it at the level of proficiency that I wanted him to. And we got through our 30-minute lesson, and, we ended the lesson, and, I went up to Mom and I said, that was a little bit of a tough one, and she recognized that it was a tough one also. But, these things happen. Everyone has their good days and their bad days. But that evening, I got a text message from Mom, and what she said was, I was a little worried when we got home what my son's reaction to the private lesson was going to be, because it was kind of a tough one compared to previous ones that he's had in the past. And so I asked him, what did you think about your private lesson? And his response was, Wrenchy Mike is very, very tough on me, but that's okay because he wants me to be awesome. And she said that to me, and that really, really resonated with me, obviously, because, you're talking about a 6-year-old boy who recognizes what me as a 50-year-old was able to recognize about teachers going back many, many decades. And that type of an understanding about what we're doing and how we teach from a 6-year-old, let alone, their parents, meant so much to me, because that is exactly one of the main driving forces behind why I teach and why I know many of our instructors teach at the school, which is that we believe that we have the capacity to turn kids into being even more awesome than what they are right now, and becoming major martial artists and developing skill sets and life skills. And we do it in a way, not by coddling necessarily, but rather by trying to get to know each and every one of them, what they're capable of, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and then really kind of drawing out as much as we possibly can from them, and maintaining high expectations based on the fact that we know what they're capable of doing. So anyway, this was just a little story that I wanted to tell you about some of my influences and how it kind of dovetails into why we consider what we do so important, and why we love it so much, and why it's such a driving force for all of us at the school. And that's really it for Time Out Tuesday, episode 55. So we're about 2 weeks away from another testing cycle. Our next test cycle begins on February 9th. So we're getting busy at the dojo, making sure everybody's tuned up and ready to go for their upcoming promotion test. So I hope everybody makes it a great day today. Peace. See ya.